When did grocery shopping become a financial shock? Not a luxury purchase, not a big vacation, not a major life expense, just a normal trip to the grocery store. You grab chicken, milk, eggs, maybe some bread and vegetables for the week. You walk to the checkout, and suddenly the total is over $100. For millions of households, this moment is no longer surprising. It feels normal, and that is exactly the problem. This is no longer just about prices going up. This is about a grocery prices crisis quietly reshaping everyday life. On paper, the numbers don't look extreme. Official data shows food prices rising around 3% year over year toward the end of 2025. But standing in the checkout line tells a very different story. Families are reporting grocery bills that rival rent. Households cooking every meal at home are spending $1,000 to $800 per month just to eat. And the pressure is not slowing down. It's building. Food inflation hits differently. You can delay buying a car. You can postpone travel, but you cannot delay eating. In this video, we're not just talking about why groceries are expensive. We're breaking down why grocery prices almost never come back down, how households are adapting in dangerous ways, how food inflation in 2026 could reshape the economy, and why this could be a warning sign of something bigger. By the end, you'll understand why grocery prices are no longer just a cost of living issue, but a signal of deeper economic stress. Part 1. The psychological price breaking point. What makes this moment different is not just that groceries are expensive, it's that prices have crossed an invisible psychological threshold. Across the country, people are sharing the same stories. A family of 4 spending $1,800 a month on groceries. A couple with no kids still breaking $200. Families cooking every meal at home and still watching food costs rival rent. These are no longer extreme cases. They are becoming common experiences. What's shocking is how consistent these numbers are. Whether you live in Arizona, New York, or Washington State, the totals look eerily similar. At that point, groceries stop feeling like a flexible expense. They start feeling like a fixed obligation, like rent or insurance. According to the Joint Economic Committee, the average household paid $300 more for groceries in 2025 than in 2024. That doesn't sound devastating until you realize the real problem. These increases didn't come in one big spike. They came in dozens of tiny increases. $1 more for eggs, $2 more for chicken, a smaller box of cereal for the same price. Slowly, invisibly, until suddenly groceries became a financial burden. And this pressure is hitting at the worst possible time, when housing, insurance, and debt payments are already maxed out. There is nothing left to cut. Something has to give. Part 2. Why food inflation feels worse than everything else. Here's the confusing part. Inflation reports say things are improving. Food inflation around 3% per year doesn't sound catastrophic. So why does it feel unbearable? Because no one experiences inflation on paper. Food is unique. You cannot delay it. You cannot negotiate it. You cannot wait 6 months and hope for a better price. You must eat this week, and next week, and every week forever. Rent changes once a year. Insurance updates occasionally. But groceries confront you multiple times every month. Every checkout line is a reminder that your purchasing power is shrinking. And here's another problem. Food inflation has often run hotter than core inflation, so the things people buy most frequently are getting expensive faster than economists' favorite indicators. That gap changes behavior. People don't wait for economists to confirm inflation is a problem. They feel it immediately, and they react. They cut back, they switch brands, they change habits, and eventually, they start making survival decisions. Part 3. Why prices rarely come back down. People keep asking, if inflation is slowing, why are grocery prices still so high? The uncomfortable answer: prices almost never go backward. Economists call this the ratchet effect. Prices move up easily, but moving them down requires a massive shock. Once companies adjust to higher revenue levels, they rarely lower prices voluntarily. Coffee that used to cost $8 now costs $15. Frozen meat that used to be cheap now feels like a luxury. Even when inflation slows, prices don't reset. They just stop rising as fast. And then there's shrinkflation. Same price, smaller package, same box, fewer ounces. The price looks stable. The value quietly disappears. Many consumers now believe companies permanently raised prices to protect profits. Record earnings from food companies only reinforce that suspicion. So people stop waiting for relief. They stop budgeting for prices to fall. They accept a new reality. And that acceptance changes everything. Part 4. The dangerous coping strategies. Once people accept that prices aren't coming down, the question changes. It's no longer, how do I save money? It becomes, how do I survive this month? One of the most alarming trends is buy now, pay later for groceries. Food is being financed. That's a huge red flag. Groceries don't create future value. They're gone in a week. Financing food means you're paying tomorrow for something already consumed. Miss a payment, fees pile up. Miss another, debt snowballs. What starts as survival turns into a debt trap. Other coping strategies are quieter, but just as serious. Skipping meals. Buying cheap calories instead of nutrition. Working extra hours just to afford food, draining emergency savings. Using credit cards for necessities. This doesn't show up in GDP reports, but it erodes financial resilience. And when resilience disappears, even a small shock becomes catastrophic. Part 5. When high prices turn into social tension. As pressure builds, it doesn't stay inside household budgets. It spills into the store. Retail theft stories are rising. Self-checkout abuse, walkouts, underringing items. Some cases are criminal, others are desperation. Retailers respond with more security. Locked cabinets, cameras everywhere, fewer self-checkout lanes. Shopping becomes slow and humiliating. And here's the vicious cycle. Security costs money. Labor costs money. Shrinkage gets priced into products. So prices go up again. Everyone feels punished. Shoppers feel distrusted. Employees feel overwhelmed. Retailers face backlash. A pricing problem turns into a social trust problem. Part 6. The technology shift that could change everything as trust erodes. Technology steps in. Grocery stores are investing in facial recognition, AI cameras tracking movement, digital price tags, data-driven pricing systems. Dynamic pricing is already normal in airlines and ride-sharing. Groceries could be next. Imagine prices changing by time of day, demand, or even your purchase history. Food becomes algorithm-priced. From a business perspective, this is efficiency. From a consumer perspective, it's surveillance tied to survival. Transparency disappears, budgeting becomes impossible, trust erodes even further. Part 7. Paying more but trusting food less. Here's the final frustration. People are paying more than ever, but trusting food less than ever. More recalls, longer ingredient lists, stories about contamination and shortcuts. When prices rise, expectations rise, but quality doesn't always follow. This creates anger, anxiety, and skepticism toward food corporations. Food is personal. It's health. It's family. It's culture. When trust in food breaks down, it creates a deeper psychological stress. Part 8. Is everything really unaffordable? Some people still manage to shop cheap. Store brands, discount meat, seasonal produce, multiple store trips. But saving money now requires time, knowledge, and flexibility. For busy families, that's a luxury. Grocery shopping has become a game that rewards optimization and punishes everyone else. Conclusion. The warning sign. When you step back, this isn't just about groceries. Food prices are reshaping behavior. Households are taking on risk. Retailers are tightening control. Technology is transforming pricing. Trust is breaking down. The economy is quietly repricing everyday life. And food sits at the center of that shift. The question is no longer, will grocery prices ever feel normal again? The question is, how will people adapt to a world where they never do? Call to action. Which part of this worries you most? The prices? The debt? Or what comes next? Comment below. I read every response. And if this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening behind your grocery bill, subscribe so you're prepared for what's coming next.